If you think you're labeling a 5 unit as a 4 unit will save you money, well, think again. You might get the loan, but you may also get a federal case with your name on it. So know the rules and follow them. And that's what we're talking about here today. We are following up on the Letitia James alleged case of mortgage fraud. She is the New York Attorney General. So stay tuned, watch to the end. Welcome back to the Real Estate and Wealth Podcast, where we help you make real estate easy. And if you can just do me a small favor and make sure you like this episode and you subscribe to my channel so that you know anytime I drop a new episode. Okay, today we are talking about the Letitia James case, and this is day 2. What we're going to talk about now is buying a 4 unit versus a 5 unit, and what Letitia James did that I want to make sure you don't make the same mistakes, or let me say what she allegedly did. So you might be thinking to yourself, I mean, what is the difference between a 4 unit and a 5 unit? Like, is there really even a big difference? And the answer is yes. There are major differences between buying a property that has 1 to 4 units opposed to buying a property that's 5 or more units. Now, the first part of the 1 to 4 unit, if you're buying a property, yesterday we talked about primary residence opposed to investment property. And if you buy a 1 to 4 unit and you live in one of the properties, it can be considered a residential property, primary property for you, which is great because you get to save money. Now, today we're talking about the number of units in each building and how that affects you. And by you selecting one over the other, what type of benefits it might have for you. So with a 1 to 4 unit apartment building, it is considered residential property. So you can apply and qualify for regular residential mortgages like a FHA mortgage, a conventional mortgage. And I believe with the VA loan, you are able to buy a multi-unit. You want to check with your lender and ask them and verify that if you are looking to purchase a multi-unit. And as we mentioned yesterday, if you are house hacking, this is still a residential property. If you're not sure what house hacking is, I actually have a whole podcast episode that I did a few years ago, and I'll make sure I tag it right here if you want to go back and learn more about house hacking. All right. And also, there are less requirements if you are buying a 1 to 4 unit and it is classified as a residential property. Now, if you're buying a property that has 5 or more units, it is considered a commercial property. Therefore, you have to qualify for a commercial loan. And a commercial loan goes by different criteria. So it's commercial real estate. You need to get a commercial mortgage. There are stricter requirements to qualifying for a commercial property, and loan terms are shorter. So with residential, you can get up to 30-year term, but with a 5 unit, it is shorter. So let's talk about the mortgage and the difference between the two. So a 1 to 4 unit goes by your personal income. So if I'm buying a 1, 2, 3, or 4 unit, they're looking at my income and if I can afford it. Now, if I'm going to live in the property, they will take into account the rental income that I'm going to get from the other units to help me qualify for that property. But ultimately, what you would remember is that it goes on your personal income when you're purchasing that property. You'll also qualify for lower interest rates when you are purchasing that property because it's residential compared to commercial. And like I mentioned, you can qualify for a 30-year term. Now, you can get a lower term if that's what you choose, but you can get up to a 30-year term. Now, when we're talking about a 5+ unit, it is the commercial property, and they're not necessarily looking at your personal income. They are looking at the the income that the property produces. They're looking at cap rates for the property, and they're also looking at the net operating income of the property. So net operating income is the income that you receive after paying any bills to operate the property. So if you have to pay for landscaping and cleaning of the common areas of the property, gas and electric for common areas of the property, after any of those expenses are paid out, whatever, and of course the mortgage, paying the mortgage and insurance and taxes and all of that, after all of that is paid, how much income is this property producing? So it's going to look at that. You're also going to have higher rates when it's an investment property, and like we said before, it is a higher risk when you don't live in this property. And last, the term of the loan is shorter. So it could be a 5-year, a 10-year, 15-year commercial loan. So you can see that there are benefits to saying that something is a 4-unit opposed to a 5-unit. And allegedly, in this situation, Attorney General Letitia James of New York, she bought a property in Brooklyn, New York, that is a 5-unit and not a 4-unit, but on the application, she allegedly classified this as a 4-unit so that she could benefit from everything that you would get that we just talked about when it's a 1 to 4-unit property. So this is something that you definitely don't want to do. For this particular property, the use and occupancy certificate stated that it was a 5-unit. I'm just not sure how that even was able to fly, that they were able to qualify for this loan as a 4-unit, and no one did the investigation to know that it was a 5-unit. And just a side note from this, once this aired, these pending possible charges, the tenants in there are kind of saying that she's a slumlord, and they started filing all of these complaints against the landlord. And it seems like, just my opinion, that maybe they were afraid to file a complaint because she's the New York Attorney General, right? And now that all of this has come to light, apparently these units aren't even in the best condition. But I'm here just to share with you things about the home buying process so that you are aware, so that no one can tell you to do something that is illegal, because ultimately you could be fined, you can be imprisoned, and I'm sure you don't want to do that over being deceptive in your loan application. Tomorrow, we're going to do day 3 and talk about another aspect of this case to help you understand what not to do when you're applying to purchase a home, a multi-unit, so that you don't get in hot water. So I look forward to seeing you then. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. See you soon.